The beginning of free agency is already in motion. Tuesday was the final day teams could use franchise tags on their players. And so today we're going to talk about 18 different players who are hitting free agency and make predictions about where they will be playing next season. Let's start with a casualty maybe of the beginning of free agency, Ty, and that is Kyler Murray, who has not yet been released, but the Cardinals have made it evidently clear that they will be cutting Kyler Murray at the start of the new league year. For the sake of this video, you and I have each made predictions about where these players will land. If you're watching over on YouTube, you'll notice there is a logo on your screen when we have the player on the screen as well, right next to our video box. That is a prediction of where we think these players will be landing. And for Kyler Murray, you and I both think he ends up on the New York Jets. And I think it's a rather simple process to get there. Do we want to go through the landing spots for Kyler Murray and kind of debunk the reasons why it actually wouldn't work for him to be anywhere but the New York Jets? Is it helpful to work backwards in that way?
Maybe, because I think a lot of people will see Kyler Murray and think like Minnesota, think a Miami, right? Think of a team that maybe has some more pieces that are ready to go per se than a Jets franchise, or I mean, you name any kind of, I mean, obviously you can't return to Arizona, right? But right. I do feel like the Jets are I'll explain the pro case for the Jets. You can work backwards for all the
we'll work backwards then. That works. Yep.
I think for the Jets, they are the one team in the quarterback carousel, in the quarterback sweepstakes, that cannot take a chance on a developmental guy, on a young, take a chance on, after his first contract type quarterback. Not just because they tried it with Justin Fields and it didn't pan out, but the timeline has just never been able to move forward with those type of quarterbacks. You can't go back into the draft this year unless you're going to settle for, Ty Simpson at 16, because you're definitely not going to get him in the second round.
No.
So maybe you can trade back into the first round because you do have pick 33, but regardless, I don't think it helps out this team start at least getting the ball rolling if they go back into the rookie quarterback sweepstakes, if they go for the Malik Willises of the world. They need a guy that has proven that he can be a starting caliber quarterback in the league. Kyler may not be the top 10 quarterback that we all thought he could get to, but if he's a top 20 quarterback, that's way better than some of the quarterbacks that they've had in recent memory. So I think for the Jets, this is the guy that you need to target just to be, more comfortable with who's under center and not have to take a chance and hope for upside and hope for development in the first year in a contract.
And if you're Darren Mogi, first year in on the job, you got to show you're at least kind of serious about fixing this quarterback situation. You probably, maybe you don't want to hand out the Justin Fields contract to a Malik Willis again, but bringing in a Kyler Murray on a 1-year deal to get you to the 2027 NFL draft, where there is a plethora of quarterbacks available for you to pick from, it shows you're at least serious about trying to fix the Jets quarterback situation. I want to go through all the other options as well, where people are projecting Kyler Murray to play and why I just literally none of them make sense to me. I shouldn't say none of them, but like the Minnesota Vikings, Ty, Kyler Murray would be starting ahead of JJ McCarthy. Like Correct. I don't want to say that's too much competition, but like at that point, you might as well just play Kyler Murray and let JJ sit. And at that point, you may as well just not let JJ play. So that's why I don't think the Vikings make sense if you want to bring in competition, because the goal is you want JJ McCarthy to hopefully start for this team. You just need someone who will light a fire underneath him to take him to the next level is what you hope. I worry Kyler would bury him, which is kind of a crazy statement. The Miami Dolphins, they're eating too much cap by cutting Tua. Simple as that. I don't think they would go out and bring in another quarterback because of how much cap they're going to eat should they cut Tua. I don't see it happening pre-June 1. They're going to be eating $42 million if they do that. If they designate him as a post-June 1, it's only $11 million. I I don't see the Dolphins taking a swing on a quarterback necessarily. Maybe they do if they can get Kyler cheap enough. Maybe the Cleveland Browns, no thanks. That's I don't want to say that's almost sending you backwards, but it's pretty clear you're gearing up for a new era. Kyler Murray is not going to launch you into a new era under Todd Monken. And then the Atlanta Falcons are another team people are throwing out. This is the year you got to figure out if Michael Penix is the guy. You got to figure out if Michael Penix is the guy. And I don't, again, similar to JJ McCarthy, I worry if you bring in Kyler, it's you only need a 4 to 5 game fill in for Penix, if that. He's already ahead of progress and is tracking to potentially be ready by the start of next season, which is pretty crazy. But to me, if you're Atlanta, you don't bring in Kyler for 3 games. You bring in, I suggested somebody like a Teddy Bridgewater, which might be an extreme, but you bring in a Joe Flacco for 3 games if that's what you're really looking at. So that's why I'm like, process of elimination, get to the Jets, and I just think they make the most sense. We've already dabbled on Malik Willis a little bit, so let's actually get into the full discussion on him, Ty. Funny enough, you haven't gone to the Miami Dolphins, who I just kind of gave the case for like why I don't see the Miami Dolphins taking a swing on this free agent quarterback class. If anything, I probably see them going the veteran route for 1 year. I haven't gone to the Arizona Cardinals, but I want to hear your case about the Dolphins first, since I just wrapped up explaining why I don't think the Dolphins will take a swing.
I just think it's more than a coincidence that Miami has gone out and hired a new GM, Eric John Sullivan from the Green Bay Packers, who hired, why am I blanking on his name? Jeff Hafley. There it is, from the Green Bay Packers. They also brought in former Titans GM John Robinson, who chose Malik Willis when they were in Tennessee. I feel like stars are aligning, and I also wonder with Bobby Slowick now back in the play calling fold, if this team really does want to go veteran route, I can understand it from the standpoint of let's kind of get some consistency first before we start taking the splashes. Just after what was a pretty up and down Tua Tagovailoa era. So I could completely get that, but I also think at the same time, again, with the personnel that you brought from Green Bay, Malik Willis just being there, familiarity would make the most sense for Malik Willis rather than going to a completely different franchise, a completely different package, I'll call it, between offensive system and playmakers and all that kind of stuff. But if there is one other place that I think does make the most sense for Malik Willis, it is the Arizona Cardinals. So now I will give you the floor to explain the Cardinals.
Yeah, the other thing I'll just quickly mention on the Miami Dolphins, currently negative 1.6 million in cap space. I understand you can manipulate the cap, restructures, et cetera, but the Cardinals in my mind are one of 2 teams, the other team being the New York Jets, that I think can afford to give Malik Willis, the 2-year, $40 million Justin Fields contract. And honestly, it might be 2 years, $50 million for Malik Willis. Some people are saying he'll command $30 million, 2 years, $60 million for Malik Willis. They're one of the only teams out there that can do that. You got Mike LaFleur coming in as well to coach this team. He's got a brother in Green Bay who knows a thing or two about coaching Malik Willis. So if they are truly looking to be competitive, to take a swing on a younger quarterback with this new regime, and they don't want to just enter in with a bridge Jacoby Brissett for a year to explode the 2027 class, I mean, they're one of the 2 teams that make the most sense to take a swing on Malik Willis as their starting quarterback. In my mind, if you're the Arizona Cardinals, you give him the Justin Fields contract and you can get out after 1 year if you absolutely need to. So I think the Cardinals are a great spot here, especially if you're Malik Willis looking for a starting gig. We'll wrap up the quarterbacks here, though, Ty. Aaron Rodgers, we'll talk about him. He's in the open market. You and I both think he goes back to Pittsburgh. Really not much to explain on this one because Mike McCarthy is a new head coach. Doesn't exactly scream the regime is heading in a new direction or hitting the reset button per se.
And I also think, too, you look at all the other potential landing spots for a quarterback, Rodgers doesn't really fit the mold for most of those other destinations. You would think of Rodgers as, yes, veteran piece, but it's a win now kind of piece. Does it work in Minnesota? Not really, because if Rodgers goes to Minnesota, he's starting. Right? He goes to the Cardinals. I don't know what interest he would have in the Cardinals. Dolphins, yes, there is Packers connections, but different Packer connections than when he was there.
Meaningful.
So it really, and again, I don't think it's a coincidence that Pittsburgh went out. Yes, there's the whole Yinzer connection with Mike McCarthy. That has to mean something, doesn't it? That has to mean something to try to get Rodgers to come back for one more year, just because, again, your other options, if you're Pittsburgh, are Will Howard, and I'm just going to be honest.
Hey, the Steelers fans were clamoring for Will Howard in our Fix Your Franchise series.
Okay, be my guest.
Hey, 2027 NFL draft class. Will Howard will get you to that draft class. He'll probably get you a top 5 pick in that class as well. I think we're lockstep here on Aaron Rodgers. Before we dive on into the running backs, we're going to get to the running backs. We're going to have the pass catchers, wide receivers, and tight ends as well. If this is your first time seeing our content, make sure you hit that subscribe button and turn on that notification bell as well. So 1, you're notified when all of our new episodes are up. But 2, if you are into the NFL draft, if you are into dynasty fantasy football, this is the place you're going to want to be this offseason. We've got all sorts of suggested trades. We've got all sorts of rookie rankings coming out. We're doing mock drafts during the offseason as well. A little even keep, trade, cut, buy, sell, hold. So make sure you hang around. A lot of fun discussion to be had this offseason leading up to the NFL draft, one of our favorite times of the year. Kenneth Walker now heads this running back class, Ty. I think at one point you could have said Breece Hall, but he has been slapped with the franchise tag by the New York Jets. This is a fascinating one because I honestly think the Seattle Seahawks would be foolish to let Kenneth Walker walk out of their doors, no pun intended. You have Zach Charbonnet dealing with an ACL. He's not going to be right for another season and a half. Fully right for another season and a half. I should clarify, 100% for another season and a half. I think he gets an extension done here. I think at the end of the day, the Seahawks look at this and they say, do we want to try and live with a Rico Dowdle for 1 year? Maybe. Do you want to try and live with a Tyler Allgeier for 1 year? But like neither of those guys are going to want to sign one. Well, Rico Dowdle will probably end up signing a 1 year deal, but Tyler Allgeier is going to want a multi-year contract. You've already got Zach Charbonnet there. So to me, I think the Seahawks will probably say, hey, you can go test the market. But at the end of the day, I think they're ready to probably offer Ken Walker the best contract out there on the market, especially if they're not close in talks with Rashid Shaheed either, who seems like he would demand a decent contract to come back to the team as well. But you have the Denver Broncos here, who do have a strong link to Kenneth Walker here. It seems like it's been Broncos and Giants who have been the loudest buzz, the loudest beat for Ken Walker here.
The loudest, and it's really more so because of the noise that Denver has made regarding other running backs. That tells me that Denver, again, is in the market for one of these top tier or top end running backs in this free agency class. Obviously, you heard about Breece Hall getting franchise tagged. It was Jonathan Jones over at CBS that said Denver's the reason why the Jets use the franchise tag instead of a transition tag or not even tagging him at all to try to sign into an extension, because they were worried that Denver would give Breece Hall an offer that he couldn't refuse. Now, little bit different situation, right? Going from the Jets to the Broncos, bottom feeder to one of the top contending teams in the AFC. Maybe a little different for Ken Walker going from Super Bowl champ to the Broncos. But again, it just tells me that Denver's in this market. They're hunting for one of these high-end options to pair up with RJ Harvey. I think Ken Walker is, like, again, cream of the crop. So why not go for it, right? Denver's in a, I don't want to say their window is wide open to start competing, but you do have Bo Nix on a rookie contract still. So you still have some money to go out and spend. Are we sure that we want to make RJ Harvey the do-it-all guy? We would love it for fantasy, but I think Sean Payton understands. Let's get a guy that can actually let's just get a guy that can actually just run the ball efficiently. RJ Harvey can, but he's going to be best kind of second fiddle, taking, as a not change of
playing
pace,
the
but like
1B.
exactly,
Literally playing the
exactly.
1B. Like
The
RJ
1B.
Harvey's the epitome of a guy you want in a 1A and 1B. So yeah, I do think Denver is like very strongly in play here. I get the Giants are like smoke is everywhere around the Giants wanting a running back this offseason. I find it hard to believe it's going to be one of these big names. Like the reports have also said like they're considering Jeremiah Love closer to draft time if they miss out. That seems a little ludicrous to me. That seems maybe more like a bluff than anything else. But man, they're linked to a lot of big names here. It seems like they're going to want to take a swing, which you'll see where Ty and I land on who the Giants end up getting, if anybody, this free agency class. But I think Ken Walker ends up back up in Seattle on a long-term deal. You think Denver? I think both would be very viable options. Travis Etienne, out of the NFL Combine. He was linked to two teams primarily, per rumors. The New Orleans Saints and the Kansas City Chiefs. Considering the Jacksonville Jaguars didn't tag Travis Etienne, the door's wide open for him to go to Kansas City. I feel this might be the most confident prediction that I have all video, that Travis Etienne will be a Kansas City Chief next season.
If he doesn't go to the Chiefs, it's probably because he's re-signing with Jacksonville. So I feel like the Saints rumor, I don't know if that's smoke to try to get some kind of roundabout game to try to get Jeremiah Love to fall or whatever for the Saints. Who knows? But Etienne really does feel like it's the Chiefs or it's the Jaguars. And ultimately it's going to come down to whichever probably who's going to pay him more money, obviously. Right. But also like long-term outlook, right? Like the Chiefs are going to be a little bit desperate, I think, to try to go get a running back. Etienne fits just because of the Mahomes timeline. So you need something you need something on your offense until Mahomes comes back. So that could be a bit
Rice for that matter too. We have no clue what's up with Rashid Rice.
That's true. So it could be intriguing for Travis Etienne, right? He sees the opportunity. He sees the name on the big boards and the bright lights and all that stuff with the Kansas City Chiefs. But I also think at the same time, Jacksonville would be it would be a bold move to let Etienne walk. I know he wasn't the most efficient on 260 carries. He only finished with 4.3 yards per carry. But Etienne proved to be like the guy that, I don't want to say he's the perfect running back for Liam Cohen's scheme, but he did the job well enough that Jacksonville, to let him walk and to fill that role with somebody else, it's bold. And especially with Bashal Tootin, I'm not sure Tootin's exactly ready to take the Etienne role. You get what I'm saying. It feels like Jacksonville needs to make a push, but ultimately I do think Etienne's going to look at Kansas City and go, I feel like I can compete for Super Bowls with Kansas City more than Jacksonville.
And if you're the Chiefs, you can't. I mean, I know Isaiah Pacheco's a free agent, but you can't keep rolling out 7th-round rookies. You can't keep rolling out Jerick McKinnon. You can't keep rolling out Kareem Hunt, who's washed at this point. You got to find a solution here. And I think the safest option, your best option, is giving Travis Etienne a contract and not gambling to see if you can get a Jeremiah Love to slide you at pick 9 in the NFL draft. So, yeah, this is the easiest prediction. All video for me. Travis Etienne, the Kansas City Chief in 2026. Let's touch on a few other running back free agents here, Ty. Don't have to take as much time on the likes of a Tyler Allgeier, but he's a fascinating one because he is going to demand a multi-year deal. Nobody believes he's going to go back to the Atlanta Falcons to play second fiddle to Bijan Robinson. I'm a little bit intrigued by your choice of the New York Giants here because when I think of Tyler Allgeier, I think of a dude who will bring the thunder in between the tackles. And we know the New York Giants already have a running back who comes thundering down the lane in the form of Cam Scadaboo. But I mean, is this one of those? I don't want to ask you a question to screw up the points that you're going to make, but in your situation, I'm almost viewing or anticipating your argument to be like Kmart, Kyron Williams, and Blake Corum, where these two dudes can play the same role in the offense, and if you need to interchange them, you can. They're both going to run with their head down. through the A gap and get you a hard fought 4 yards automatically. I see it as a little bit of a conflict of interest, but yet we've seen NFL teams do it before.
We've seen teams do it before, and it's really, my argument is really based off of the report that we saw during the combine where, yeah, in that report that the Giants are looking at Jeremiah Love, the focus and like the thing that I took away more is that the Giants want to be a more physical and run heavy team, which to your point is like, well, you've already got Cam Scatterboo. So like, how much more physical can you get?
You can't get more physical than Cam Scatterboo. People are running through brick walls for Cam Scatterboo.
Exactly.
Have you seen the TikToks? People are literally running through drywall for this man. Cam Scatterboo be like.
Cam Scatterboo be like.
Runs through a closet.
Modern day, like Kool-Aid man. You get what I'm saying?
Right,
like,
right.
I think the one way that you can make it a more physical run game is by bringing in a Tyler Allgeier. Now, with free agency happening before the draft, I think it makes sense that like, hey, you strike out on Ken Walker, you strike out on Travis Etienne, you kind of look at like who's just the next best option for a physical presence. Because you can make the argument for a Najee Harris. Honestly, who knows what his eye situation is. You can make the argument for a Brian Robinson Jr.
Yeah.
But I feel like Tyler Allgeier, again, like age profile makes sense. Physical presence, that's Tyler Allgeier's game. So the big question then is like, hey, if they do, I shouldn't say it's a question, but this is the bigger point. If the Giants do sign a Tyler Allgeier, it probably means that they don't think that they can get a Jeremiah Love in the draft because they think that he's going to go before them. Because like they are pretty well positioned to take a Jeremiah Love at 5. Now you can get into the whole debate of like positional value. Is it worth the pick at 5? All that kind of stuff.
Right.
But from the standpoint of if the Giants are looking for a running back that meets the criteria of being a physical runner, Tyler Allgeier fits that bill. So we'll see how it plays out. Maybe it, again, the Jeremiah Love aspect of this complicates it. But again, I'm just looking at free agency and I'm saying if they strike out on the big guys, Tyler Allgeier is the next guy up that fits their criteria for what they want in another running back.
I went the Denver Broncos simply for the reason that you talked about with Kenneth Walker being there to play a 1A to an RJ Harvey. I don't think it's necessarily even a 1A, 1B with Tyler Allgeier and RJ Harvey. It's probably more of a like direct 50-50 here. We're going to let Tyler Allgeier take some of the early down thumping work, the down and distance work, the goal line work, and we're going to let RJ Harvey do his thing, potentially as like the lead back, right? I do think signing a Tyler Allgeier allows RJ Harvey to continue developing as a primary running back in the NFL, but you get Tyler Allgeier to come in and do a lot of the dirty work that the Broncos just didn't have anybody to do after J.K. Dobbins went down. So I think if you want to pair somebody with an RJ Harvey, I do think Tyler Allgeier is probably the optimal player that I see making that happen. So I like Tyler Allgeier to the Broncos. I think it makes a ton of sense if the Broncos do miss out on a Kenneth Walker, since they've already missed out on a Breece Hall. I'm going to assume they're not. I shouldn't say they're not linked to Travis Etienne, but again, assuming Travis Etienne goes and signs with the Kansas City Chiefs, I think Tyler Allgeier is your next best bet here for the Denver Broncos. Last running back name we could talk about, Ty, Rico Dowdle, coming off a career year. I can't say a career year because his 2024 season was also better by 3 yards on one more carry. Golly, is that true? Basically, the only difference is that he scored 2 less touchdowns and had 1 less fumble. Or he had 2 less touchdowns in 2024 and he had 1 less fumble in 2025. Otherwise, those are identical stats. What? All right. So it looks like the New York Giants or the Jacksonville Jaguars are getting 235 attempts for 1075 and 5 touchdowns next year. Golly, that blew my mind. I didn't realize how literally identical those were. Okay, Rico Dowdle. I'm going to the Giants, play more of complimentary role to Cam Scatterboo when he comes back. I think instead of pairing a Tyler Allgeier with Cam Scatterboo, you get a Rico Dowdle who can do a little bit more of the pass game stuff. Still runs fairly well. You don't need him to be a primary back for you. You can still let Cam Scatterboo be your downhill guy. But yeah, I like your pick here too. If Travis Etienne doesn't indeed leave the Jacksonville Jaguars, I think this is a great landing spot for Rico Dowdle to play alongside Bashal too.
Yeah, and you look at the Jaguars' current cap situation, they are, according to Over the Cap, they're about $19 million over the cap. So letting Etienne go and bringing in Dowdle, I'm assuming that Dowdle signs for less money than Etienne does.
Yeah.
And I'm not going to sit here and I'm not going to sit here and say that Rico Dowdle is going to give you the exact same production or is Travis Etienne light. But Dowdle would pair well with Tootin in the sense of again, I don't want to use change of pace, but just 1A, 1B backfield. That makes the most sense. And it's not a big enough name, in my opinion, that hinders Bashal Tootin from getting opportunities, because that's again the other reason why you would let Etienne go is because you're confident that Tootin can give you more with a little more work. Rico Dowdle, yeah, as a 200 carry guy, he's going to get his, but he's not going to like take away a whole lot from Bashal Tootin. Again, Etienne walked away with 260 carries after this year. I don't think Rico Dowdle is going to hit that. I think some of that work is going to fall towards Bashal Tootin then. So I think just from a franchise standpoint and just kind of looking forward, Rico Dowdle on a 2-year deal makes a ton of sense because, again, it doesn't block your development of Bashal Tootin, and you still get a really, 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 really solid runner of the football between the tackles with Rico Dowdle.
Today's show is brought to you by our friends over at Underdog, where you can get into the game this season playing pick'em. It's extremely simple. Just pick higher or lower on 2 or more of your favorite players. For example, I'll pick the higher on Justin Jefferson, Jamar Chase, and Xavier Worthy. If I played $10 and got all 3 of them right, I would win $60 just by watching football. And that's the beauty of pick'em. You can track your picks and your wins while you enjoy the game. Now, if you're not on Underdog yet, scan the QR code on your screen or use our code FELLAS when you sign up, because new customers will get $50 in bonus funds when you play your first $5 on the app. Plus, Underdog will give you a free pick to use in your first entry. Again, that's code FELLAS over on Underdog. Now let's get you back to the rest of the show. All right, let's move it on to the pass catchers here. Let's start with the wide receiver position because there are a lot of names to cover here. This class headlined by Mike Evans of the Tampa Bay Buccaneers. Look, there's a lot of, I go back and forth on where I think Mike Evans is going to end up, but you have him going to the Tampa Bay Buccaneers, Ty, back home, staying in Tampa. I do think this is, let me say this. I think this is, I know I didn't choose Tampa Bay as my primary option. I do think this is probably the most likely outcome. And a lot of the buzz we've been hearing is Mike Evans trying to create more demand from the Tampa Bay Buccaneers to use as leverage.
Yes. If I'm Tampa Bay, this is the only argument I really have. If I'm Tampa Bay, yes, I understand that Mike Evans is now in his 30s. He's coming off of a pretty injury-riddled year. But I can't just let my guy that has put up 11 consecutive seasons of 1,000+ yards, I can't just let him walk. I know you have Emeka Egbuka. I know I have Chris Godwin. I know I have Jalen McMillan. I still can't let my guy Mike Evans walk. You can't just let somebody like that walk out of your building. But at the same time, I understand from the standpoint of it feels like everything's kind of coming to a head for this Tampa Bay team with Todd Bowles pretty much on his last year. If things don't go well, that's kind of where, you take a look at a lot of the other contracts on this team as well. If things don't really work out, it's kind of going into a rebuild then, because you're definitely going to let go of Todd Bowles. So do you really want to invest more money in more years into Mike Evans? I get it. But I just see this as a look at what he's done for you type of player. You can't let that go because he means more to you than just, the on-field production matters, but the off-the-field stuff, being a leader on that team, being a veteran presence, that matters. That can't just be, forgotten about and tried to be replicated by somebody else.
Let's go on a trip, Ty. Take a trip with me here.
Okay.
The New England Patriots today cut Stefon Diggs Wednesday, March 4th. We're recording 8:05 p.m. Central Time, but this happened earlier in the day. Patriots get rid of Stefon Diggs, frees up $16.8 million. If the Patriots also extend Michael Onwenu, they free up another $12.5 million. So you go into the offseason now with 64, 65-ish million in cap space. Credit to Nessie FFB over on Twitter for that breakdown. Remind me who last season, Ty, offered Chris Godwin a $30 million a year contract. Oh, it was Mike Evans' teammate, Chris Godwin.
Oh.
So I wonder.
Brian Windhorst.
I'm just tracking here that the New England Patriots might have a big play here on Mike Evans. I don't know if it's $30 million a year for Mike Evans coming off an injury-riddled season, given his age as well. But if Mike Evans is Spot Track has his contract projection at 13.5, would you be surprised at all if the Patriots come in at 20 and say we got to get Drake May a guy? We got to win the Super Bowl. We got to go back to the promised land. And would you say the Patriots fit Mike Evans' criteria?
Probably.
And if you don't remember Mike Evans' criteria, he wants a quarterback he believes in. He wants a competent offensive coordinator. He wants promise of high volume touches, and he wants a chance at a Super Bowl. Just thinking here, the New England Patriots might want to take a big swing on Mike Evans to get Drake May his guy for the foreseeable future, to at least tide them over until they can address it in the NFL draft or future years as well. So I like the New England Patriots here for Mike Evans as his home for the 2026 NFL season. Alec Pierce is also. Sorry, you're gonna add one more thing onto Mike Evans. You started to say something after I went through my Brian Windhorst theory here.
Let's just move on.
We can move on. We can move on to Alec Pierce. Look, I don't know what the heck is going on in Indy. $37.8 million transitional tag on Daniel Jones. Nobody's going to come up and pay Daniel Jones that. And if they do, they're almost like playing themselves. They're suckering themselves into a Deshaun Watson, Cleveland Browns-esque contract. Like, Daniel Jones was great last year, but oh man, that was only on a 1-year deal, a cheapo 1-year deal. It baffles me if they use a transitional tag where they could let him walk and instead, bring in a guy like Kyler Murray for $10 million instead of 37.8. God, I just don't understand that. So Alec Pierce is officially hitting free agency. I'm just sticking with the reports on this, tied to just plead my case right away. I'm sticking with the reports that the Colts have already told Alec Pierce they intend on keeping him around, whether it was through the franchise tag, which cannot happen anymore, or through an extension. I just bet they try and get an extension done with Alec Pierce here. And it might come at the cost of Michael Pittman, potentially. We'll see. So Alec Pierce, I think he does just end up staying with the Colts. But you have him going to the New England Patriots, where I had Mike Evans going.
Yeah, this one I think is kind of the flip side of the coin. It feels like there's two ways that New England needs to go if they're going to invest in wide receiver this offseason. One is with proving commodities like a Mike Evans. The other side of this is young ascending scheme fits in their offense. And I know that like saying that a guy's a deep threat is not really a scheme fit. Alec Pierce would be your every down wide receiver now. You don't have to rely on Kayshon Boutte to be that guy. But here's just what I see. Okay. Alec Pierce, third of all wide receivers in catches of 40 plus yards downfield. He was in the top 10 of catches over 20 yards downfield. Drake May, third in deep ball completion percentage this past season. So if you're going to keep airing it out, why not go sign the guy that, makes a living down the field? I know that you may look at the stat lines for Alec Pierce in his career and go like, really? Like, you really want to give Drake May that kind of receiver? Like, don't you need a bona fide wide receiver one like a Mike Evans? Sure. But this is also what I know about New England. It feels like if they're going to go get a bona fide wide receiver one that's not named Mike Evans, his name is AJ Brown. Otherwise, they're just going to sign the guys that will fit their design for their offense. and just kind of say, screw the, wide receiver one label on a guy. We're just going to go get guys that fit our offense. I think Alec Pierce is that to a T.
So I literally just saw this pop up on my timeline. This is from earlier today as well. Alec Pierce was on the Up and Adams show. Quote, I love Indy, but at this point I've kind of earned the right to explore free agency, see what's out there. So good for Alec Pierce, willing to explore his options, could potentially be leaving Indy. My guess is that Indy does bring him back, go to the New England Patriots, play more of a scheme fit, as you would say, alongside Drake May with the deep ball. Speaking of deep balls, how about Rashid Shaheed? Traded from the New Orleans Saints to the Seattle Seahawks to help them get to and win the Super Bowl. I do want to note, Ty, there's been reports coming out today that Rashid Shaheed and the Seahawks are very far apart on an extension. I think Rashid Shaheed walks. I don't think they get a deal done. We both think he goes to the Las Vegas Raiders, where, guess who happens to be the new head coach? Clint Kubiak. I'm not going to say much more on that because, oh boy, does that team need a burner downfield to play alongside Brock Bowers.
Wait, you're telling me that Jack Bash and Dante Thornton aren't the answer for this team? You're telling me that Trey Tucker isn't the answer for this team? I mean, the Raiders are...
Kobe Myers couldn't even be the answer for the team. They got rid of that man.
Yeah. This is like the Raiders are going to have to pay the bad team tax on this one, but Vegas needs to do everything in their power to try to go get Rashid Shaheed just because of the Clint Kubiak connection. Yes, you can pay other receivers, maybe a bit cheaper than Shaheed, but Shaheed steps right in with familiarity with the offense, gives Fernando Mendoza somebody that he can rely on right away as a as somebody that knows the system, he can help him out a bit. Not saying that Rashid Shaheed is instantly like wide receiver one material then, but this just makes so much sense just from a team and player pairing that this one, like you were saying for Etienne going to the Chiefs.
Oh, this is the second easiest one for me.
This is the second easiest, correct?
Yeah. And dare I even make the case that we're just going to move on to Wan'Dale Robinson. Wan'Dale Robinson was the third easiest for me.
Yep.
And we both have him. I mean, the Tennessee Titans, he's been linked to the Tennessee Titans already. They've been rumored to be going after him pretty hard. I saw a ridiculous article title. It was why the Giants might regret not paying Wan'Dale Robinson $28 million. With like a way of like getting around saying putting the franchise tag. I'm like, you should have just said why they would regret not placing the franchise tag, and that would have sounded a lot better. Is the $28 million wide receiver in the room with us? Because it's not Wan'Dale Robinson.
It's not Wan'Dale.
I thought that was a baffling article title to address Wan'Dale Robinson hitting free agency.
We are in the midst of clickbait season. Right in between the draft and free agent, or between free agency and the combine and all that stuff. Where it's brutal out there. And that's Exhibit A of $28 million. It's the franchise.
Why the Giants would regret not paying $28 million to Wan'Dale Robinson. I don't think they will. I think they'll be just fine. I do think Cam Ward, golly, needs some sort of a safety blanket, high catch rate wide receiver underneath, though. We cannot just be letting him launch piss missiles down the field to Alec Pierce and whoever else they want to put on the Chimere DK. We got to get someone underneath here for Cam Ward to get some easy completions to, get some yak here. And I think like Wan'Dale Robinson to me is like the perfect fit for that.
Yeah, that was the one thing I did wonder about is like, well, you did have Chimere DK, so how is that exactly going to work? And then I remembered, well, this isn't the coaching staff that likes Chimere DK. Brian Daboll knows exactly what he's getting with Wan'Dale, and he made it even work with Wan'Dale in 2 wide receiver sets, and Wan'Dale's not the 2 wide receiver set.
He's not He can do it. He can do it. So I don't. You can't tell me you look at a starting trio of Alec Pierce, Calvin Ridley, and Chimere DK and go, yeah, Wan'Dale Robinson doesn't fit with Tennessee. Like, yeah. let's be so for real right now. It's that easy. This team just needs a different warm body than those three.
Yes.
Hey, and no, like that's not to rip on Ioman or anything, right? Like fine
Right.
rookie season, Jamari DK, fine rookie season. They're fine, but like, oh man, can we please get 1,000-yard receiver in there? Can we please get a guy who's drawn 140 targets the last 2 years?
Hold on.
Can we get an 85 plus catch receiver in there?
That's probably the better way to say it, because calling Wan'Dale 1,000-yard receiver just hitting.
I was a 14 last season. But yes, no, I agree.
14 yards.
Well, we just talked about Mike Evans, Mr. 1,000 yards. No, we need a safety blanket here for Cam Ward. Yes. We need some easy play and rhythm completions. Brian Dable can get that done with Wan'Dale Robinson, bringing him in for Cam Ward, settle him down just a little bit. Stefon Diggs was released by the Patriots, so we do have to talk about where he ends up playing next season on this list of players. Can I be honest? Your guess is as good as mine on this one. This is like the wild card of all wild cards for Steph Diggs. Washington made sense in my head. If they're not bringing back Deebo Samuel, who is going to hit free agency, you're going to need someone to play inside. I think Diggs is just a cheap option that you can pick up for free to get some veteran reps in there. I know people love Luke McCaffrey. I know they love Jalen Lane, but look, you got to get a different warm body than those guys in there. Jaden Daniels needs just a little bit more help, and especially if you don't have Zach Ertz as well, who's probably done so for his career. Let's get another savvy vet in there and Steph Diggs.
Yep, I look at Baltimore and I just go, new offensive system. You really going to rely on Zay Flowers to be the guy? I don't know if Zay Flowers has that ability. He can. I mean, look, I don't want to knock Zay Flowers too much because he is coming off of his best season of his career. But I don't see Zay Flowers as a 130 target, 140 target player.
No.
So you do need somebody else. Yes, you still have Mark Andrews. You're probably not going to bring back Isaiah Likely. Rashad Bateman's not the guy. Devontae Walker, not the guy.
No.
You need somebody else alongside Zay Flowers. And I think Diggs, having been on some very competitive AFC teams, obviously New England going to the Super Bowl, Buffalo having all the success that he had with Josh Allen, maybe there's something that can work out between him and Lamar and Zay Flowers to be a nice little trio.
Yeah, at this point, you're looking at Steph Diggs as a wide receiver 2 on any team that he's on, and probably a low ceiling wide receiver 2 at that. So consider teams with that kind of, who are looking for that essence of player. I also wouldn't be surprised. Would you be surprised at all if it goes back to Buffalo for cheap? That was the other one that I was tossing around in my head.
I'm
mostly just
you know
like, what? Would it surprise you at all?
No, well, how do I say this?
I understand it's a whole new regime there.
Well,
I shouldn't say whole new, but
you
get what I mean.
It would surprise me just because of how things were left.
How things were left. Right. That's the only thing that prevented it in my head.
Right. And just but at the same time, just for entertainment purposes.
Oh,
God,
absolute cinema.
We can be absolute cinema. We could be completely wrong about all these other projections, but if we get a hint of Diggs going to Buffalo, it instantly takes care of any kind of sour feelings that we would have about predictions being wrong, because we just sit back, grab the popcorn, and just watch that unfold.
Absolute cinema. Speaking of the Commanders and Deebo Samuel, let's talk about him next. We're flying through some of these wide receivers here. You don't need to hear us sit and predict and explain for hours on end with some of these guys, because obviously Diggs and Deebo are kind of in the twilights of their career. And you look around the league for landing spots for Deebo Samuel, it just doesn't make sense for any other team that's not the San Francisco 49ers, who have already been rumored to have interest in bringing Deebo back here. I think it makes the most sense. Is it lazy, the easy way out? Sure, but does 2 + 2 = 4? If so, then let's just keep it that way.
Bingo. Like it's really that simple. Like you see the need for the Niners. Deebo Samuel is like the perfect player. He was the perfect player for Kyle Shanahan. Why not give it one more go? Right? Why not? Why not? One more, just 1 year deal. Why not?
Yeah, they need the help if Jawan Jennings isn't coming back. If you're designating Brandon Ayuk as a post June 1 designation, you're going to need some help there. Originally, I had Mike Evans going to the San Francisco 49ers because that's another team that I think just fits all the check boxes. But man, I had to switch that up when you look around for Deebo Samuel and there's just nobody. Could they bring back Deebo and Mike? Sure. I could see that, especially if you're down George Kittle as well. I could see that. But Deebo, I think, makes the most sense out of the two, considering familiarity with Kyle Shanahan. I can play that more middle over the field, short distance pass game role for this team as well. Romeo Doubs, we'll touch on him, putting on his best Peaky Blinders impersonation in this photo here on the screen. Where do we... The delayed laugh got me. I was
told me Shelby. Okay, I chose the Miami Dolphins because Green Bay.
Oh, this is why if you're an audio listener, you need to subscribe over on YouTube because when I saw this photo, it was literally my first thought. I'm like, dude's set to cast on Peaky Blinders.
He's about to star alongside Cillian Murphy for he's the long lost Shelby brother.
His lungs are gonna be littered with holes smoking candy cigarettes with him.
Again,
you chose Miami Dolphins.
Yeah, Miami Dolphins because Green Bay. If Malik Willis goes to Green Bay, why not bring Romeo Doubs? So again, he has familiarity with somebody, and I'm not gonna lie. A Romeo Doubs, Jalen Waddle pairing.
You could do a lot worse.
You could do a lot worse, and especially for Malik Willis. Again, you got a playmaker in Waddle, and you got a guy here.
DK.
Tyler Lockett and Trey Tucker. I mean, just saying.
You can do a lot worse.
You can do worse. Trust us. You can. Yes, you can. So, yeah, why not? The Green Bay connection stays alive in Miami.
Yeah, I think it's a very logical choice. And again, by the time they manipulate the cap a little bit, they can clear up enough space to get him a contract to come down, play out on the perimeter alongside Jalen Waddle. Is Romeo Doubs just not the most like, hey, we're the Buffalo Bills and we need help on the perimeter? Romeo, come on down. And everyone's like, cool, you got another wide receiver 3. Very cool, Kanye. You got another one. Congrats.
Way to go, guys. Way to go. We did it. I
mean, the reports are the Bills are going to attack this thing from a multitude of angles, so I'd anticipate them to take someone in the NFL draft as well. But you look at the other free agent wide receiver names, I don't think they're going to go take a swing on an Alec Pierce. They can't. It's kind of out of their price range. Maybe they try and take a swing on Rashid Shaheed, but again, that's like top of the budget for them. Wan'Dale, you're getting Khalil Shakir. Stefon Diggs, you got the drama. Deebo's just another gadget guy, so you got Romeo Doubs. Well, Ty, there is one more name I do want to make sure we talk about at the wide receiver position before we transition to tight ends and wrap out the show. Tyreek Hill is a free agent. Okay. Obviously a nasty injury this season. In my opinion, dude should just hang it up and go stream on Twitch. That's my prediction. My prediction, he doesn't end up playing anywhere. Dude can just sail off into the sunset. He has had a lucrative career. Just go stream on Twitch, man. Just go do your podcast. Go stream on Twitch. Do your thing. Enjoy life. Enjoy the repairs and the mobility, assuming all the surgeries went well. Just go enjoy life.
Just hope we don't get.
Yeah, you have the audacity to say the San Francisco 49ers.
Well, just okay. Hold. Okay, easy. You
think he actually comes back?
No, I don't.
Oh, okay.
This is my Twitch of just like, man, Tyreek Hill was healthy. Can you imagine
be fun.
him and Deebo in San Francisco together?
It'd be fun. That'd be a lot of
That'd
fun.
be fun. But it ain't happening because the guy isn't healthy. He should definitely go stream on Twitch. He should just hang him up. Man, you've had a good career.
No shame.
Just,
no shame.
No shame. No shame.
Nobody would blame the guy whatsoever. So I kept him last because I figured you and I would probably share that. Of my guess is that he doesn't sign with the team despite him having like the highest projected contract value on Spot Track. I'm like, that's just silly. Why are we? I get it's an algorithm thing, but like, come on now. We all know Tyreek Hill isn't getting paid the most money at the wide receiver position this offseason. Let's close it out with tight ends, Ty. Before we do, though, if you're watching at this point, clearly you've been enjoying our content to some extent through all of our dumb jokes and laughter with one another, flying through our analysis because it's nearly 20 different players we're talking about. So if you're still here, make sure you hit that subscribe button, turn the notification bell as well. If you are a subscriber to the channel already, thank you so much for your support. As always, means the world to us as we continue to make NFL content and fantasy football content for you all. Travis Kelce is technically a free agent, Ty. He's another one where it's probably worth the conversation of how likely do you think it is he retires this offseason. If he doesn't, though, I think he comes back to play with the Kansas City Chiefs. I don't even want to try and project the deal. If it's a 1-year deal, a string of 1-year deals he plays on until he's ready to hang it up. If it's a multi-year deal, my guess is if he doesn't retire, it's with the Chiefs probably on a 1-2-year max deal.
This is probably the fourth easiest one. Like,
okay. So we talked about the easiest ones. This was the easiest one, really, because Travis Kelce won't play anywhere else.
Like, if we were being serious, this was the easiest one, but jokingly saying some of the other guys, this is the easy one.
Dallas Goedert is also a free agent this offseason. Reports are saying he is, quote, definitely out of Philly. The tight end free agent market is fascinating because there's definitely teams that need tight ends, but I kind of like your pick here of the Panthers, who could continue getting by with JT Sanders if they really, really wanted to, but it's kind of make or break here for Bryce Young. So let's get a competent tight end here, get some short distance targets, some quick, easy shovel passes for touchdowns if you really want to with Dallas Goedert. I don't hate Carolina as an option here, right? If you are going to, really test the waters here with Bryce Young.
I just look at Carolina and I just go, if we've made progress up until this point, but we need to keep making progress. And what's one way to do that? We keep finding the end zone when we get into the red zone. This past year, Carolina wasn't terrible in the red zone. They did find the end zone on 57% of their opportunities in the red zone, which is pretty good. But when you look at the top 10 teams, they are at around 60%. This past year, the lowest, or like the 10th team, was Atlanta at 62%. So to take that next step, we need to start putting 7 on the board instead of 3, which, like, that should be the goal at all times.
Right.
And I just look at Dallas Goedert and I'm just like, how is this man not going to be an immediate red zone threat? Yes, you have Ted McMillan.
11 touchdowns this last year.
Which, like, a lot of them were like those crazy
cheapo shovel gimmick plays that, oh my gosh, they had a blast drawing up for him. Freaking the only thing Kevin Patullo knew how to do was draw up Dallas Goedert in the red zone.
Right. But that's what I see here. Like, why would you not do the same for Bryce Young, right? Get creative in the red zone, Dave Canales. I know that he handed off play calling duties, but like Dallas Goedert gives you he gives you some consistency at the tight end spot. Yes, JT Sanders and Tommy Tremble, nice players, but Dallas Goedert can be a leader for the offense, having experience going deep into the playoffs, having won Super Bowls, being a red zone threat. Like, it is really, I just see it as a very, very seamless pairing between Carolina and Dallas Goedert.
I think if you see Mike Evans walk in free agency, you're going to my guess is you're probably going to see the Tampa Bay Buccaneers go out and try and get a supplemental pass catcher here. Because they also let Cade Otton walk. They chose not to re-sign him or extend him. So you have a need at tight end, potentially perimeter wideout here. I shouldn't say perimeter wideout. You've got plenty of those in Tampa Bay. But if you do need an underneath guy outside of Chris Godwin, you fire up Dallas Goedert in this spot. So I'd be curious to see how much, what kind of contract Dallas Goedert ends up getting. I also think the Tampa Bay Buccaneers are in play for a Kenyon Sadiq in the NFL draft, but ultimately I think the Philadelphia Eagles would be another team Kenyon Sadiq slides to. But I have David Njoku with the Philadelphia Eagles. Again, rumors are already spilling that the Eagles have interest in David Njoku. They let Dallas Goedert walk. You bring in another veteran, experienced tight end here to fill his shoes in the meantime. And I was explaining this to you and Cam earlier today. Isn't Kenyon Sadiq the kind of player that everybody's like, oh, dude, he tests so well. I absolutely love his game. Absolutely, this dude should be going as a top 15, top 20 pick. And isn't he like the perfect player that it's just like, okay, the Buccaneers didn't take him. Okay, the Minnesota Vikings didn't take him. Okay, this other tight end needy team didn't. Oh, he's on the clock for the Eagles at 23. Jihad Campbell is on the clock for the Eagles. Jalen Carter is on the clock for the Eagles at 9th overall. Nolan Smith fell all the way to the Eagles at the end of the first. Kenyon Sadiq, right? Like, this is, even though they signed David Njoku, I don't think it takes them out of the sweepstakes for Kenyon Sadiq. I think they'd probably bring in Njoku as a seasoned vet on a 1 year, like, relatively lucrative contract, I think, for the tight end position.
Makes sense. You're getting 2 years younger at the position, and you're still getting a red zone threat. I don't know if Njoku's kind of the blocking fit, if that makes sense, as Dallas Goedert was, but at the same time, like, just load up the offense and just let's run it back one more time and hope that Sean Mannion is actually the cure to this offense getting us over the hump. So who knows? Who knows?
Tennessee, though, for you.
I just see a team that needs a presence over the middle of the field. And if just follow me, if Tennessee goes out and signs Wan'Dale Robinson, David Njoku, and some guy that we've talked about in the draft pretty recently, you go out and draft a Jeremy Bernard.
Jeremy Bernard, yes, Jeremy Bernard. Let's go.
I'm just saying, like,
early second round pick, Jeremy Bernard. Let's go.
I'm just saying, like, that kind of pass catching group of Njoku, Wan'Dale, Bernard, Allgeier Manor, and Chimere DK. If you really want to get him on the field, that's substantially better than what Cam Ward had.
You could do worse.
Man, that carries a connotation though that, like, it's still not that great.
Tyler
I think
Lockett, Dante Thornton.
Hold on. Just hear me out. Okay?
Jack Bash.
You have Wan'Dale and you have Bernard kind of taking the underneath parts of the field. Yeah. You got Njoku over the middle. You can do a lot worse than Allgeier Manor downfield. Then just saying, like, you've at least now structured your offense to give Cam Ward options across the field rather than in specific parts of the field. I'm just saying, maybe I know that Mike Borgonzi, he's doing his thing in Tennessee, but I'm just saying, hey, Tennessee, like, if you really want, hey, man, I've turned your team around to Super Bowl champs in Madden. I'm doing it right now on the Fells podcast. So, like, why can't we just do the real thing? Why can't we just do the real thing?
We'll put a pin in it there. 18 different free agent productions that could truly shape the fantasy football draft board come 2026. If you want to see how we've been fixing teams all offseason long thus far, we've made some other free agent predictions as well. Make sure you subscribe to our shorts channels as well. All exclusive content for you all over there, not cut up podcast content. FFL is over on Twitter. The FFL is over on Instagram. Fantasy Football Fellas on Facebook and TikTok. If you are a YouTube person through and through, Fantasy Football Fellas shorts, if you want those videos as well. We're going to get into NFL draft season here very, very soon. If not, like, quite literally, by the end of March, we will be cutting out, like, daily team videos for the NFL draft, what it would take for them to get an A+ in the NFL draft. So if you want to know what it takes for your team to get an A+ based on just our thoughts, musings, make sure you go subscribe over there as well. Follow our personal socials. I'm at Lucas Wenzel on X. Cam or Ty Law. Goodness, holy cow, it's late. Cam Law, Ty Law.
Hey, you remember Ty Law? You remember Ty Law?
Oh, dude, do I remember Ty Law?
Hey man, that's a compliment.
Dude.
If you mix up my name with Ty Law, that's a compliment.
That man, Ty Law, great 6 months of fame for Ty Law.
I'm fairly certain in my collection of Topps football cards, I do have a Ty Law card. I'm just saying, it's a compliment to mix up my name with Ty Law's.
More than 6 months. Sorry, I mistake my Ty Laws. I was going Ty Law's son. Ty Law, yes.
Oh,
obviously.
hey, well,
I was
more
going.
legend. I mean, it is that time.
You're going cornerback
it's
Ty Law. I don't know why my
Correct.
mind went basketball.
Well,
Obviously, you were
hey,
talking cornerback Ty Law. Goodness, more than
honestly,
6 months
both.
for Ty Law.
I mean, both. Ty Lawson. Hey, you a little North Carolina mixtape with Ty Lawson. I'm just saying that would be entertaining. That's entertaining.
That'll soothe the soul. Tyler_Plath for Ty over on X. We'll be back next week discussing let's see some we got some more rookie rankings coming up here. Maybe we'll do another rookie
flex
mock draft
rankings.
next. Yeah, we got some super flex rankings coming up, and then we'll discuss the 10 most impactful free agent signings for fantasy football. So we did our predictions here. We'll talk about the most impactful signings once the dust is starting to settle next week. Appreciate you all. Thanks so much for hanging out with us. Stay safe, stay healthy. We'll see you next time. Deuces.